All right, well, today we're going to talk about the 5 meta ads tactics even top agencies miss. What I wanted to do is put together a webinar that was really tactical and practical. Today we are not going to talk about strategy. We're not going to talk about theory. It is tactical tips. This is really for health and wellness brands who are running meta ads, or really any brand who is running ads on Meta, for marketers who are frustrated with their meta ads. You've been running them for a while and you seem to just hit a plateau, or you can't break through to the other side. Or some agencies looking to sharpen up their paid social strategy. Meta ads are never ending. They're always adding new tactics, new tools, new barriers. So there's always things that are changing. So I asked some friends, other agencies like ours, for some of the top tips on what they're doing for meta ads right now. So this is, May 2025. This is what we're doing and using right now. Combined, between us, our partner agencies, Propelic, H Street Digital, and Impressive, we all spend tens of millions to hundreds of millions of dollars in budget on meta ads. So we have experienced it all. We know everything that is going on. So why listen to me? Again, Angela Arnold. I'm the founder of Arnold Marketing. We spend a lot of money on meta ads. We've spent a lot of money on meta ads for many, many years. If you don't know us, we're a performance-driven agency focused primarily on health and wellness brands. We really like to simplify marketing. Not a lot of fluff, not a lot of gimmicks. We just focus on results. Same thing with this webinar today. It's going to be really focused on tactics and not a lot of esoteric theory. As I said, this is not going to be vague. We'll talk about clear do's and don'ts, and I've gathered some of these insights from our media buying team and from other top tier agencies. So as we're diving in, feel free to ask any questions in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask a question at any time. I know that we only have 30 minutes together, so if there is something that's been bugging you about your meta ads, raise your hand and ask. Or if something I'm talking about doesn't make sense, let's just talk it out. We're all friends here. So section 1 is how to spy on your competitors' meta ads and what to actually do with that information. So the ads that are live on Meta have been tested a lot. Some of you have competitors who have either been around a really long time, so they have quite a bit of capital. Maybe they've received outside funding from private equity, or they've done fundraising rounds. And so they've spent a lot of money to test what works and what doesn't work. Everything from the copy to the creative to the positioning. They've already spent the money testing it. So the ads that they have live, for the most part, have been proven to work and are giving results to those other brands. So what this means is don't do your own research, meaning see what your competitors are running. Then you can take information and learning, again, that they've already spent money doing, and apply those to your own ads. Really what happens when people start meta ads is they kind of do it in a vacuum. It's really easy. You just get so wrapped up in your own brand and your own product that you just laser focus on that, and you forget that the customer is in an evaluation phase. Yes, they want to buy your product or service. They don't necessarily know they want to buy it from you specifically. And they're getting ads from all these other brands as well. So you have to take into account the context that your ads will be seen in. And we'll talk through a case study here in a minute that explains this pretty clearly. The other thing is ignoring the insights that already exist, meaning, like I said, all these other brands have already spent a lot of money to run ads, see which ones have failed, and then put more money behind the ones that are working. So the tool that you'll want to use is called the Meta Ads Library. This is one of the only good things that has come from Mark Zuckerberg. I have to use this embarrassing picture of him because he makes my life difficult every day. So we're going to pay him back a little bit. But this was launched in 2019. The reason for it was to be more transparent about who is running what ads. This is your secret weapon as a marketer because you can go and see what ads your competitors are running. So let's just take a look here together. And it will show you live ads that are coming. You can select the location, your ad category, and then you can search for things like keywords. An interesting keyword to search for is, this may be in the news. Let's just look for, oops, if I could spell correctly, tariffs, prices. Who's running ads talking about tariffs and pricing? You can see here all these different brands and these different ads that are referring to tariffs and pricing. So if your business is affected by tariffs, you can see what other companies are saying about them. And let's say you're a natural or more sustainable clothing brand. You want to see what your competitors are running. You can type in, there's this clothing brand called Pact. They have quite a bit of money. They do quite a bit of advertising on Meta. You can see what are their active ads that are running right now. It will tell you when it started running, how long it's been running for, and what platforms it's running on. It will show you, here's the copy, here's the creative. It'll even show you the video. So you can see, what are your competitors talking about? What are they focusing on? Right now, it looks to be a lot focusing on dresses. This makes sense. The weather's warming up. People don't want to wear pants and sweaters. They're looking for dresses. So again, when you're doing your ads, if you're this organic clothing company, you want to see what kind of words and phrases are they using. Light, soft, organic cotton gauze. This is valuable information because they've tested these terms to get people's attention. So you know that these phrases, breathable fabrics, probably is something that they've tested quite a bit. You can also see their ad creative has quite a bit of video. Again, something that you can take inspiration from if you have this clothing brand. So I highly recommend you go and play around with this. This really helps inform your ad strategy and your ad copy and creative. So like I said, look for format, look for the creative, look for any offers that they're doing, especially sales. Your customer is comparing you against other brands. So make sure you see what else they are getting offered by other people. I like to create what I call a swipe file. It's really just a document where any ads I really like, meaning that they're creative, they use interesting phrasing, I'll put them in there for inspiration, and or I tend to keep an eye on the top competitors and see what ads they run over and over and over. That will give you an idea of what's really working for them. Again, put it in a file just so you can reference it when it's time to launch your own campaigns and do your own campaign planning. Again, for next year around this time, if you sell dresses, this may be the time to start selling dresses since that's what people are looking for. The main headline here is don't spend your money relearning the things that these other brands have already paid to learn. I'll do a quick case study. We were working with a natural toothpaste company called Yin and Fang. Completely new to the market. They got their first shipment in from China and said, now we've got to sell it. Now what? So we did take a look at alternative toothpaste brands, did a lot of research on what meta ads they were running. We looked at about 13 different competitors. And what's interesting about the natural toothpaste vertical is that it's still pretty early. So people are in the early adopter phase. There is still opportunity for new brands to gain a foothold in the market and to become kind of the top leader or top contender. So that told us, yes, there is room on meta ads for us to compete. It's not dominated by one specific brand spending a ton of money. I think all 13 brands were spending at least some money on meta. The other thing it told us was that all of these alternative toothpaste brands were thinking in their box, thinking in their bubble, meaning you should choose our toothpaste over Colgate. You should choose our toothpaste over Crest. But that's not what the customer is looking for. The customer already knows I want to move away from Colgate and Crest. but I have 13 different natural toothpaste brands. How do I pick between them? So we looked at everybody's ads. It was all, fluoride free, no synthetic chemicals, non-toxic, all these things, but none of it was focused on why us over the other alternative toothpaste brands. So that left the door really wide open for people already in the consideration phase. I know I want to switch my toothpaste. I just don't know which brand to pick. So that's what we did for them. And we got quite a lot of return on ad spend for a pretty small spend because they were a new brand. They just couldn't start that strong out of the gate. So this is how competitor ads can really tell you what's going on. Yes, Annie.
Hi, sorry, I can't see the raise hand icon on my dashboard. What is that graph and how did you get the percentage numbers? Where is that info coming from?
So this is just general to consumer product adoption across any category. But we did research to find where natural toothpaste was in the customer life cycle. So this graph is not specific to natural toothpaste, it's to any consumer product in the market. There's going to be a small percentage of innovators and early adopters, and then you have majorities and laggards. So it's good to know where your brand falls because that will change your messaging as well. Early adopters and innovators, you have to position yourself against established entrants into the market because you're new and because they're taking a chance on a new product. Make sense?
Yeah, so that was just your in-house research that you were looking at all of those different brands and yeah, it's really
Exactly correct. Yeah, if, they said, it was a husband and wife team who started this company, and they said, we don't have a lot of budget. We need to be smart about how we spend it. So we did a lot of research to see how can we have positioning in the market that's not just, hey, we're better than Colgate and Crest. That's not going to cut it. Everybody else was spending money on saying that exact same thing. How can we attract those early adopters who are already considering natural toothpaste but don't know which brand they want to buy? So takeaways here, let others spend the money testing what works. Make sure you steal their strategy, not the style. Nobody wants you to copy the ads exactly, but you will see common words and phrases, common creative that you can take inspiration from. And then always keep in mind your customer's context. It's really important to think what else they're looking at in addition to just your brand. Again, it's so easy to put the blinders on and just think only about your brand, but people have a whole world of other people trying to get their attention. Section 2 is why your meta ads look broken. So Meta has more channels than you think, and they will put your ads in more places than you think, unless you're very specific with telling them, I need creative to go only on the Instagram feed or only in Facebook stories. They can and will put your ad across the web. Facebook also owns multiple ad platforms. So on things like mobile games, the ads that are served there are also run through the Facebook ads engine. So you don't know where your ad will end up. What this means is test, 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 have as much creative as you can. Something that I find trips up some brands is they're still stuck in this mentality of the physical world, meaning back in the day, you had to run a print ad, you needed to design it, you needed to say, okay, I want 5,000 copies to go out in this mailer. That's a finite resource. The computer is an infinite resource. So you can and should materially change and experiment with things on the fly. Your website is not a physical storefront. If you want to take a display shelf and move it over here, you can on a website very easily. It doesn't take any time or money versus a physical storefront. You have to actually move inventory and move items around. The best thing to come out of the ads engines, in my opinion, is their ability to take a bunch of different creative and test it all against each other. So the different headlines, different button colors, different photos. You can even have the same photo and test it with different saturation levels to see which ones your audience responds to. It is really important to not get so wrapped up and I have to make the perfect version of an ad. Here's the headline, here's the copy, here's the graphic. This is all one holistic package. No, it's better to think of it as disparate parts that you can then pour into the hopper. This is our grain hopper here illustration, and let Meta figure it out. Because what they can do is run 10,000 tests of all of your different headline variations, all of your different copy variations, your graphics, and see which ones are the winner. The other thing that you need to keep in mind is placement. Because there are so many different areas and places around the web where your ads will get served, make sure you do design graphics in all the different size variations that Meta gives you. Don't trust them to resize your image because it's going to look broken. Don't trust them to shorten your headline because they'll chop off a word in the middle of a word. Make sure that you are giving them multiple headline variations with different lengths so that they have those pieces that they can take and grab and mix and match with these. An ultimate pro tip is that Meta and even Google don't like when creative gets stale, even if it's performing. If you're giving lots of money to them, to TikTok, to whoever, and it's converting great, let's say it's been running about 2 or 3 months, they will start ramping down the performance of it. They want you to spend more money over time. So just go and tweak something, move the button over a few pixels, again, change the saturation in the picture, swap out one word, and it will treat it as a new ad. Suddenly the performance will start increasing again. It's all about playing the game with Meta. It's not great, but that's what they do. Just elements to tweak. We will be sending a copy of this presentation out to anyone, so don't feel like you have to write all these down. But you want different diversity of ad formats. So think about, again, don't make your one ad and then rubber stamp it across different placements. Somebody watching Instagram Reels is in a different mindset and a different media consumption mode than somebody scrolling through a news feed. Your ads should match the style and tone of where they're consuming that content. That's something that's really important. You want to match the user behavior so it looks and feels more native. It's not as jarring and obtrusive to them, so they're more likely to actually look at and interact with the content. Make sure you change up offers, wording, colors, video versus static image, and then ugly ads, depending on the brand. Sometimes ads that look like a magazine ad do not perform well. If it looks like your mom took the photo with her 10-year-old phone, sometimes that's the thing that performs the best. So don't be afraid to make it a little ugly and keep it feeling authentic because it could perform better than something you spent $10,000 on. Trust me, I've been there. All right, the third tip is to keep the bad ads running. Yes, really keep the bad ads running. What this means is that Meta and even Google and all the other ad platforms are really smart. If you have your campaign running and you see an ad that's not converting, let's say you tell Meta, hey, my main goal is conversions. I want, email addresses, or I want people to book an appointment or purchase a product. And you see there's an ad that's really low conversion rate, but it's still getting a significant amount of spend, meaning Meta is putting more of your budget to it. Don't pause it. It's because that's helping down funnel gain extra conversions. So what's happening is that it'll serve the ad to somebody here at the top of the funnel when we can use the natural toothpaste example. Somebody's shopping around for natural toothpaste, or they've never even thought of, maybe I should look for a different toothpaste. One of your poor performing conversion ads could plant the seed of, oh, maybe I need to think about switching toothpastes. Or it could be in the consideration phase. Which of these natural toothpaste brands should I pick? Versus a lot of marketers tend to focus on this bottom of the funnel. What's converting? What's converting? Turn off everything that's not converting. Consumers take time to make a decision. We will talk about impulse buys later on in this presentation, but you've got to let them move through the funnel and trust the ad platform, not fully, but in this case, trust the ad platform to help move them through the funnel because they know your goal is conversions. Trust me, they understand. They want you to keep spending your money with them. So if an ad's still getting spent, don't pause it. All making sense? Cool. Our fourth tip already here. What I said, don't trust Meta's attribution. Make sure you do this instead. Set up your own tracking. The attribution word is a holy war for marketers. We love to talk about last touch attribution and how we measure attribution across everywhere. If you trust Meta to only do your conversion tracking, they're going to take as much credit as possible. Any possible way they can manipulate the data to make it look like you're getting a ton of conversions, that's what they will do. I talk to business owners every single day who say, we've been running ads. Our agency doesn't understand why they're not performing because the agency is saying these ads are performing great. We're having all these conversions. But what the business owner says is nobody's walking in the door. Nobody's making a reservation. Nobody's buying my product. Where's the disconnect? The disconnect is that the agencies tend to trust Meta's attribution. You need to vet it against your own internal tracking. This is really important. If you're working with an agency or somebody running ads and they have not asked about your CRM data or your customer data, that is a red flag. You need to make sure that they are thinking through the full funnel. It does not matter if you have an ad that is performing incredibly. It could have the best click-through rate in the game. It could have a really low, cost per conversion. But if they're not real conversions, it does not matter. Every business owner knows what matters is money coming in the door. That's what you need to be focused on. So make sure you verify all of the data that Meta is telling you with your own internal tracking. There is another level to this where you can install server to server tracking. So Meta does have an API integration where they say, okay, you can integrate it with your data or with your CRM. They haven't really updated it much in many years. They've been distracted with the metaverse and all other things that they're doing. So there are other tools that you can use to do this server to server tracking that will make it a lot more valuable and a lot more accurate. I don't recommend doing this unless your spend is probably 50K or more or a month, or if you're an e-com business and it's just really important that you have this really accurate tracking. But even if you're not at this level, make sure that you are verifying the information that Meta is telling you because they love to take credit. Every ad platform does. And here's a bonus. I know I said these were 5 tactics, but I wanted to throw this one in because I think it's really fun. There is one word that gets health and wellness ads disapproved. It's you. You're the problem. Literally, the word you is the problem. When you use you in ad copy under the personal attributes policy, it's really likely to get disapproved. Even a simple line like saying, "Are you tired?" can get your ad flagged. The problem with Meta and any ad platform is that they are really fighting hard against spammers and scammers. And if they flag even one of your ads, it can get your entire ad account completely banned. And there's almost no way to undo that. So even if you have 10,000 ads running and only one got flagged, it can still ban your account. Doesn't matter how old your account is, how much money you're spending. So just be really careful with things like this. But this is a pretty simple fix. Just avoid the word you. So instead of saying, "Are you tired?" just say, "Hey, are you feeling," or sorry, "Are you feeling drained?" Low energy, things like that. Just avoid the word you. That's a bonus tip. Last one. We're almost at time. We're doing good. Is to match your retargeting window to the price point and the buying cycle. Retargeting is the best bang for your buck. If you're not doing retargeting, you are missing out on money. Like I spoke about earlier, consumers take a while to make a decision. It's very rare that somebody's going to see an ad, click on the ad, look at your landing page, add the product to their cart, go through the checkout phase, and complete the purchase all in one session. Even this webinar, I guarantee you people are checking their email, somebody got a delivery and they had to go, answer the door for the delivery person, you can't finish doing one thing at a time anymore. So retargeting ads are capturing people that showed interest in your brand or your product, but just didn't make the purchase, didn't make that conversion. However, the next level of this is to match your retargeting window, meaning how long you want to retarget them, based on the price of your product or service. So for something low ticket, less than $100, these are, accessories, impulse buys. I usually set the retargeting window to about 1 to 7 days. After that, the impulse is done. They're not on the couch scrolling on their iPad while they watch TV. They're not going to make that impulse purchase, so stop trying to convert them at that point. A mid-ticket item, let's say $100 to $1,000, they do need a little more consideration and research. They need time to think about it. Maybe they're looking at reviews, things like that. So the retargeting window can be a little longer, about 30 to 90 days. Again, after that, they're probably just not ready to buy. And then you have your high ticket items, things that are $1,000 or more. This is a really long buying cycle. They're going to take time to think about it. They're going to do a lot of comparisons. So make sure your buying window is extended to match that price point. And something really important is to use your own data. You spent a lot of time, money, blood, sweat, and tears to get your customers. Use that data. So make sure in your lookalikes you're including high lifetime value customers. Once you get enough customer data, you don't need to include everybody in lookalikes, just the ones who have bought the most from you and have bought the most frequently from you. This seems very no duh, but make sure you're excluding people in your lookalikes and your retargeting who purchased in the last 30 days. You'd be amazed at how many people forget this. We've all had this. You went and bought something online, and then you keep getting ads for that thing you already bought. Just add it to the exclusion list. Or match it to your buying cycle. So something like laundry detergent you do buy regularly, versus computer RAM, you buy that once every few years. And then the last one is my favorite tip. Include those high lifetime value customers for your ad comments, meaning when you're running a prospecting ad, include the people who already bought your product and already love you. Yes, you're spending money to show ads to people who know who you are and have purchased, but what they'll do is they'll comment on the ad. I love this product. I've bought 5 times. I use this every day. That's going to help convert the people who are undecided from buying the product. You don't have to do it for the whole length of the ad because then you're spending extra money, but do it just for, a couple days to a couple weeks until you get enough positive comments. Then you can exclude those from your prospecting ads. So to wrap up, summarize what we learned, our 5 tips. Use the ad library, test a ton of creative variety, and make sure you pair it to exact placements. Keep the bad ads running if money is going to them. Don't trust Meta's attribution, and then match your retargeting window to the price point and the buying cycle. If you liked this webinar, I thought it was super fun. I love talking about Meta ads and marketing in general. We do have a Meta ads cheat sheet that T is going to be putting in the chat. It contains all the information in this webinar, plus some additional content, kind of like a little checklist for you as you're building out your Meta campaigns. Or if you want it done for you, we offer packages that start at $1,500 a month. We can get ads live in as little as 3 weeks. So, feel free to reach out to us. Again, T will put both of those links in the chat so you can grab those resources or grab time with us to talk through your ads. You may say, hey, I've tried everything and they're just not working. We can talk through it together. Any questions while we're here?
I want to say thank you. That was such a great talk. I learned so much.
Great. Thanks, Annie. I appreciate it.
And Lisa has a good question in the chat also. Her
Yeah.
question is, what if your client doesn't have a big budget? Is it even worth it?
Great question. It depends on the price point of your product and how quickly, people will purchase. But if they don't have a big budget, at least do retargeting ads. Because again, you've already fought, it's for a restaurant. Yes, I would do retargeting ads. And I would also use those retargeting ads to promote offers or specials. people love the word new. If they've been to your restaurant before, sure, they already know you and like you, but if you have a new dish or if you have a new special, that will get them interested. So I would really utilize retargeting ads for something like a restaurant if you want to be really budget conscious. And we are actually about to put out, Lisa, a case study on the impact of Google reviews on website traffic. So keep an eye out for that. We work with 2 restaurant clients currently that are in the same shopping center. And so we can
wow.
data over the last 6 months to show the velocity and the average rating of Google reviews, what that does to their website traffic.
Yeah. Okay. I know. I tell them to keep their Google up to date, but
Yes, it's
you know.
you can send them this blog post once we put out the blog post.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. I'd love to
Because
see it.
we have data, we did a statistical analysis on it. Like these are real numbers, so you can use that to tell them to
Up to the
keep
Google
up to date
people
on it.
today, so. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Lisa. All right. Well, thanks, y'all. I appreciate it. Any other questions? Comments, booze? No, I'm kidding. We don't have to do that. I see Rachel's question. Do you have any resources on the liquor store industry and meta ads? That one's difficult because it's very highly regulated. I personally do not have any tips there. But if you want to send me an email, Rachel, T will put my email in the chat. I can introduce you to a firm that has done ads for hospitality, including bars and restaurants. And so she can give you some tips on how do you do it without getting disapproved. So I'd be happy to connect you. Just send me an email and you can get some tips there. But yes, I know running anything with liquor gets really difficult online. All right. Any other questions? This is fun. I could do this all day. All right. Well, thanks y'all so much. Have a good rest of your Thursday. Have a happy Friday. And like I said, we'll send out the recording and the slides and the cheat sheet to everybody who registered. So keep an eye out for that in your inbox.